from Times Square in New York. Sitting in for Barbara Walters, John Stossel.
Good evening. Barbara's off tonight. Our lead story is a startling new accusation against the former First Family. It's a bizarre story. It seems to be a tale of a hustler who says he was out-hustled by the hustler-in-chief. Now, people have made accusations before about the aggressive fundraising practices of both President Clinton and Senator Clinton. But as Chief Investigative Correspondent Brian Ross reports, what makes this story remarkable is that the accuser is a Hollywood multimillionaire who took home movies along the way.
This is what people...
If I could turn back time.
Top stars as guests: Brad Pitt, Patrick Swayze, John Travolta, Gregory Peck, Shirley MacLaine, Jimmy Smits. In the kitchen, a top chef for the food. And on the lawn, a private concert featuring Cher.
I don't know why I did the things I did.
And as the guests of honor, the President of the United States and the First Lady.
It's one of those things that happens once in a lifetime.
No expense was spared on this glamorous night last year, designed to raise money for Mrs. Clinton's Senate campaign. All put on, and now it seems almost all paid for by one man, the man with the beard, a Hollywood promoter, producer, internet millionaire, and convicted felon by the name of Peter Paul.
I've produced many events, and this was just the best I've ever been involved in. And everybody told me the best they had ever attended.
But now, in a remarkable falling out, Peter Paul has filed a lawsuit against the Clintons in California State Court, saying he wants his money back, more than $1.5 million of it, because, he says, the Clintons double-crossed him.
They took the money. They knew that it had a value to them. They promised to do certain things. They reneged on their promise.
That was just a business deal.
Yeah.
With what has to be the ultimate in money people who court politicians in both parties, Peter Paul comes with a lot of baggage.
These were federal convictions. It's, any time that the Secret Service runs your Social Security number, those are the first things that come up.
Yet Paul had repeated and ready access to the heavily guarded First Lady and the President. And he says he has the documents, photos, and home videos to back up some of the key details in his story. What looks to be the story of a Hollywood hustler who is now complaining he was out-hustled by the man he calls the hustler-in-chief.
Absolutely, I was hustled. I was fresh meat. You know, by the time I got involved, they had hit up all the heavy hitters.
Fresh money, millions.
And I was easy.
Senator Clinton and her staff now act as if she barely knew Peter Paul. But his home videos tell a different story, starting with a private lunch Paul co-hosted for Mrs. Clinton at the Beverly Hills restaurant Spago.
Tell me, I'm so excited.
Dionne Warwick sang for the small group.
Keep smiling, keep shining.
Ironically enough, that's what friends are for. Numerous stars were there, but Paul and his wife Andrea were the ones seated right next to Mrs. Clinton. In fact, Paul's home videos picked up Mrs. Clinton, saying she had stopped using email messages because of all the investigations she had been through.
Isn't that just been investigated and all that? You know, why would
Right, yeah.
why would I ever want to do email?
No,
Can you imagine?
no.
Paul says he put up $30,000 to be the co-host of the lunch. And in total, he estimates he has canceled checks and other documents showing more than $1.5 million in direct and so-called in-kind contributions to support the Hillary campaign last year. Yet only about $500,000 of that appears in the federal election records filed for her campaign, attributed to the various companies Paul's connected with. Democratic officials say they simply reported what Paul told them, which Paul says is not true.
They knew I gave money. They knew approximately how much I gave. And then they put me in jeopardy by lying about the contribution to the federal government, to the people of New York, to everybody.
Paul says a top Democratic fundraiser by the name of James Levin, a member of the Clinton Library Board, led him to believe the president would help his fledgling internet company and maybe join the board once he left office, in exchange for million-dollar contributions to both the Hillary campaign and the Clinton Library.
He went to the